Superman smashes the Klan. Issue 2 sees the Man of Steel, Chuck and Roberta race off to find Tommy. Chuck points them in the direction of where the Klan meeting was as Roberta vomits from the speed Superman moved them at. The trio look around and Superman uses his super hearing but can't hear anything. Suddenly he sees the green alien people again, telling him not to just listen but to look as well. Superman asks if the others can see them, but they think that he is talking about Tommy. The aliens tell him to look through and Superman's X-ray vision activates for the first time, allowing him to see Tommy at the bottom of the river. He dives in and gets the boy, who regains consciousness in his sister's arms. Superman warns Roberta to be careful since Tommy's arm might be broken, but the aliens tell Clark to look at it with his X-ray vision. Clark ignores them as he makes a splint for Tommy from his cape. Jimmy and Inspector Henderson arrive to help as Superman speeds off with Tommy to get him to a hospital. Roberta is left with Henderson and the others, thinking about jumping over the river and how the laws of gravity don't seem to apply to Superman. Jimmy tells Chuck to do what's right and tell them everything what happened, but the boy says that he knows nothing, so Jimmy won't be able to write his fancy story for the Daily Planet. Roberta tells him that this is about her family, but Henderson tells them to calm down, telling them all to give each other space. Henderson says that Chuck has already done what is right, so after he's dropped Roberta at the hospital, he will take him home and then tomorrow he will talk with the inspector. At the hospital, Tommy is treated by the nurses as Superman smells the green crystal again, seeing the aliens outside, except this time they are wearing new outfits. Clark goes outside to confront the proud aliens, learning that they are his parents. Clark doesn't believe them, demanding to know why they don't look like him, but they want to talk about his powers and how they come from the yellow sun. They ask why he's willing to use some of his powers but not all of them, as in the past, Clark is accused of being a demon-possessed boy after some local boys see Clark fly and shoot fire from his eyes. Soon the sheriff arrives and Mrs. Braverman tells him what her boys saw. The sheriff says that he will deal with this, telling Mrs. Braverman to go home. The sheriff looks Clark over, coming to the conclusion that he definitely is not a devil. Martha thanks the sheriff, who knows that Clark is always looking to help people and is never any trouble. He leaves to talk some sense into Mrs. Braverman as later that night, Clark tries to understand what he is. Martha says that he is her son and that's all he needs to know for now. Later that night, Clark goes into the barn, finding the strange radio-like device, hoping to make sense of the voices he heard from it. He decides to take it in to Pa, but soon hears his parents through the window, hearing Martha say that he has a right to know the truth. However, Jonathan thinks that they've told him too much already, since the box with voices has triggered some strange behavior in Clark. Martha knows that they need to tell him who he is, and Jonathan says that he's an alien, but Martha refuses to call him that. Jonathan says that there are people who will try and hurt him if they learn who he is, but he refuses to let that happen, so they will raise him to be an ordinary boy. Suddenly, the box begins talking, and not wanting to get caught, Clark speeds off towards the lake, hurling the box into the water, saying he just wishes to be ordinary. The next day, everything was normal, as in the present, the aliens ask again why Clark only uses some of his powers and not all of them. Tommy and Roberta's parents meanwhile arrive at the hospital, mistaking Superman as the one who did this to Tommy. Roberta sets the record straight, telling them that Superman saved them, however. Tommy also doesn't let on that the Clan of the Fiery Cross did this to them, and Roberta covers for him as well. Tommy suggests that Roberta go and give Superman his cape back since he's outside, so the girl goes out to see the hero, interrupting his talk with the alien parents. She tells him that Tommy is fine as her parents come to say thank you to the hero. Roberta gives him his cape back, but Superman says that his mother made him a closet full thanks to them always getting torn while crime fighting, so she can actually keep this one. Roberta wonders if everything her and her family have gone through is worth it just for this moment, and as Superman leaves, Roberta knows that it totally was worth it. Later on, as Roberta sleeps, her mother takes the cape, working on it with a sewing machine to turn it into something else for the girl. The next morning, Clark sees Perry White, telling him his story about the previous night's events was tremendous. The only thing Perry doesn't like is that the Klan is now operating in Metropolis, his city. Clark says that they didn't get away with the kidnapping thanks to Superman, and Perry says that Superman did something, so it's time they did as well. In the paper that day, the Daily Planet offers a $1,000 reward for any information on the Klan, a reward Chuck's mother wants to get so they can move out from under her brother. She asks what Chuck knows about the Klan, but tells him it's all a joke. She does say that the Klansmen are criminals and hopes Superman catches them, but also wonders if it's so bad to want to live among your own kind. As she leaves for work, Chuck rushes to his uncle's workshop, showing him the paper. Chuck asks him if he was involved in what happened to Tommy, but Chuck reveals that they have visitors as Henderson soon arrives to question him. His uncle wonders how the cops found out about him, but Chuck pretends that someone must have given his uncle up for the reward. Luckily, he has a way to deal with the police, telling Chuck to stay away from the Unity House since he wouldn't want him getting caught in the crossfire when his time bomb goes off. At the Unity House, Tommy and Roberta are welcomed back by the other children, who all want to know about Superman. Roberta isn't too happy that Tommy is reveling in all of the attention, as one of the girls says that her grandpa thinks that the Chinese are all sneaky, but she thinks that they are brave. Roberta says that they are not all brave or sneaky, and Jimmy introduces Roberta to them, saying Superman couldn't have saved Tommy without her. Tommy tells her to show off her new jacket, revealing Superman's cape was made into a jacket by their mother for Roberta, who while showing it off realizes that Tommy didn't tell her parents about the Klan because he doesn't want to have to leave Metropolis, since their lives now feel bigger being out of Chinatown. Chuck soon arrives, telling the group that they need to get out of the building, not telling them about the bomb, but they should all just go out and play ball. They all soon hear a ticking sound, but it's just the grandfather clock in the hallway. Jimmy wonders what's gotten into Chuck and made him so paranoid, as the boy suggests that they all go to the movies. The group agree, but Roberta knows that something is off. Lois Lane meanwhile meets with Dr. Lee, wondering if she could do a write-up on him about his work at the health department. However, Lee says the work he does isn't really good. Before Lois can inquire into what he means, she is pointed to Dr. Wilson, the department head. Lois, however, goes elsewhere into the building, happening onto a strange experiment. She is caught by Dr. Jennings, who demands to know who she is. Lois says that she took a wrong turn and wonders if Jennings will answer a few of her questions, but the doctor tells her to leave. As the kids walk to the theatre, Roberta is asked all sorts of questions about Superman, revealing while she helped save Tommy, she wasn't really brave, since she was scared and she even threw up a little. Her overshare of information makes the others leave for the movies. Left alone on the street, Roberta is happy to see some of her friends from Chinatown, Harriet and Vivian, who are also going to the movies. She says hello, but Vivian ignores her, breezing straight past her. Harriet says that Vivian thinks Roberta was always very standoffish and she never wanted to go to the movies with them, but now she's going to the movies with her new friends. Roberta tries to tell Harriet she would get sick from the bus ride, but Harriet thinks that Roberta believes she is better than them and it's why her family moved out of Chinatown. Roberta tries to see if she can sit with them at the movies, but Harriet takes off, saying that she is there with her friends and Roberta would have more fun sitting with them. Elsewhere, Clark's lunch with Lois is interrupted by more visions of the alien parents of his. Lois thinks that he's checking out another woman, making her leave, frustrated with Clark since he wasn't paying attention to her story about the health department. Clark leaves the cafe as well, ignoring his alien parents and racing to a nearby rooftop, where his parents reappear. Clark asks them what they want, and again, they ask why he's only using half his powers. Back in Smallville, Clark is picked on by some local boys after church, but soon Lana Lang comes around, telling the boys to go away as Clark begins hearing voices again, his eyes glowing red as he begins to hover above the ground. The voices soon stop as Lana kicks the boys away, getting them to run away before she introduces herself to Clark, telling him that her and her father just moved to town and she came to church to meet people. Clark knows that meeting Lana helped him finally become a perfectly ordinary boy, as in the present, Clark says that he loves the human side of him and refuses to let these aliens call him their son, since he grew up in Smallville and was raised by Jonathan and Martha Kent, and he wants them to stop this since he has already created a life for himself where no one looks at him in fear, and he doesn't want that ruined. They ask if he wants the truth, but Clark just wants his life back. Roberta meanwhile watches the Captain Desmo movie with her friends, sitting alone and thinking of herself as a weirdo and that she was always watching from the sidelines. As she watches the movie, the villain flies at the hero and it gets her thinking about Superman and how no human could actually fly like that. So she comes up with a theory that she needs to talk to Tommy about. Tommy meanwhile is playing catch with Chuck outside, and Roberto wonders why they are there, and her brother says that they can't concentrate on a film with the championship game coming up. Roberto wants to know why he's hanging out with Chuck, since she's suspicious of how he knew where the clan took Tommy, and she even recognized his boots from the one that threw the Molotov cocktail at their house. Chuck comes clean, saying that he was involved with the clan, but he never wanted to hurt the Lees. Tommy believes him thanks to the boy's skill as a pitcher, and he would never miss a throw, but he missed through the bomb at the Lee's house. Chuck lets slip about the plan for the Unity House, and Roberto wants to know what he has planned, since as Superman put it, if he can help another person, he ought to at least try. Chuck reveals that his uncle is the Grand Scorpion of the clan of the Fiery Cross, and knows that he might do something terrible to the Unity House. Jimmy soon arrives and tells him that they need to go back to the Unity House and make sure nothing bad will happen. Rushing to the Unity House, the kids catch the clan sneaking into the building. Chuck knows his uncle isn't there, since the clan were wearing different colored robes to his, but he knows that he was building a bomb. Jimmy tells the others to call the police and the Daily Planet, while he goes to try and stall the clan just like Lois Lane would, since Superman always showed up when she does it, so he hopes he will do the same for him. Roberta says that she is going with him as Chuck and Tommy race off to find a phone. Jimmy and Roberta confront the clan, pretending to be reporters, wanting the clan to answer some questions of theirs. At the Daily Planet, Clark buys Lois a coffee as an apology for earlier, wanting to hear the rest of her story about the health department. Unfortunately, Clark becomes distracted again as he overhears something about the Unity House, making Lois leave again. Inspector Henderson soon arrives, angered at Perry putting out a bounty on the clan in his newspaper. Clark asks Perry's assistant about the call regarding the Unity House, learning it was from Tommy Lee. Roberta meanwhile asks the clan about their racist costumes, but the clan attacks them. Before the clan can do anything to the kids, Superman arrives, grabbing the bigots in bed sheets. The clan continue their racist tirades as Superman throws one of them into a tree, racing inside with Yella and demanding he tell them where the bomb is so he can defuse it. The man says that he would rather die than tell them anything, since he would become a martyr to his race. Superman hears some noises upstairs, finding Rabbi Stone, Father Shane, and Reverend Leeds have all been kidnapped. Superman frees them, looking around for the bomb, but he can't hear anything over the clocks in the building. He tries to call out to his alien parents to help with his X-ray vision, but suddenly he feels a rumbling, so grabbing the people, Superman leaps from the building before it explodes. Henderson meanwhile tells Perry to lead the clan to law enforcement since he's got a lead. However, he knows Perry's headlines scared his suspect into hiding. Perry didn't mean for that to happen as the Grand Scorpion and the clan arrive at the Daily Planet. Lois tries to get an interview with the Grand Scorpion, but the clan tell her to stand with the other hostages. They soon come for Henderson, angered that someone like him would ever be allowed to be a cop. The clan want Henderson's badge, but he won't hand it over, causing them to grab Perry, threatening to kill him if he doesn't hand it over. The Unity House meanwhile goes up in flames, but thanks to Superman, everyone is safe. Roberta thinks this is all her family's fault, but Jimmy reminds her that the clan did this, and not her. Superman tells them that he's taking the clan member to hospital for his burns before the jailhouse, and hopes that Jimmy can give Roberta a lift home on his scooter. As they head back to the Lee's house, Roberta wonders where the other clan members got to, since there were only 2 at the Unity House. Jimmy thinks that they were attacking another target, and suddenly they realize where they would attack, racing into the city only to find that the globe of the Daily Planet has a giant flaming cross burnt into it. Superman Smashes the Clan issue 2 was another really awesome adventure as more of Superman's past is revealed while Roberta gains a little more faith in the world thanks to the Man of Steel. I really love the parallels between Clark and Roberta and how both of them see themselves as outcasts or not normal and are trying to find themselves in the world and have found a little niche of theirs that they've carved out and they want to keep it that way. And I love how Gene Yang plays off that parallel really well. The comic of course continues to explore and dive deep into the subject of racism, and I think it's really fantastic that it's done in a way that can and really should be taught to children and allows them to get a really good grasp on exactly what it is and why it's a detriment to society. I'm very much looking forward to seeing this story play out, and I'm looking forward to the final issue and what else we'll get to see in that final issue. I'm going to give this issue a 10 out of 10.